COVID restraints, unfortunately, we've had to do a little bit of a rearranging on our agenda. Our public comments session will be at the beginning of our meeting tonight, right after we honor these young men and their baseball. So anyway, if you would, please stand for our pledge to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Board, you have in your packet the minutes from the August 9th meeting. I hope you've had an opportunity to review those. If there are no additions or deletions from those minutes or any changes, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Chairman, my motion to approve the August 9th, 2021 minutes as presented.
All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The agenda you have in front of you, I do have one addition under County Administrator's Report. It's going to be item 9A, we're going to call it. And we need to, we need an alternate for the VGA, so we need to appoint someone or have someone volunteer and you know, for that position, we've never done that before. So we need to hopefully take care of that tonight. That was all we had, wasn't it, Mr. Gardner?
Yes, sir. I have a couple of small updates.
Okay, all right. So with that in mind, we need a motion, if no one else has any other additions or deletions, need a motion to adopt the amended agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
A motion to adopt the amended agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, we've got representatives from 3 Mecklenburg County baseball teams with us tonight, and we've got some resolutions. We're going to honor these young folks. We're so glad to have them with us. I tell you what, if y'all want to come up, guys, and maybe kind of send a circle behind me here.
Wish this worked. Just try to go back a little bit. Yeah, so just so your back should be shown.
1 1/4.
This is sort of the same. Okay. At the meeting of the Board of Supervisors held in Uniform County, Mecklenburg, on September 13, 2021, the Board of Supervisors meeting room of the Food Bank Building, the board by unanimous vote adopted the following resolution. Whereas the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors does hereby wish to honor the Mecklenburg Majors baseball team for another winning season. And whereas the Majors have been extremely successful on the field by sending over 100 men to go on to play college baseball, and they've even had a couple get drafted to the major leagues. And whereas this success began in 2009, and they have won 4 state championships in a row, which shows a continuing recruitment of talent to keep this tradition moving forward. And whereas these men again traveled to Sterling, Louisiana, to play in the 65th Dixie Majors World Series with the support of their families and community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors does hereby wish to honor these men and their coaches for their skill, league play, and sportsmanship as they represent our county. Signed H. Wayne Carter III, Clerk, Mecklenburg County. Congratulations. Thank y'all for coming. Good job, well done. Did we get fixed?
If y'all want to celebrate, you meant well.
Come on over here, Coach, with that. Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah, okay, all right, well, let's go.
They're he's on the main.
Put the kids in front.
Kids in the front. coach
Yeah.
in the back. Yeah.
Standard procedure.
Back to school.
Okay. Thank y'all.
There you go.
The pre-majors.
That's the next
All
one.
right.
Make sure that's the right one.
Okay, all right. All right, at a meeting of the Board of Supervisors held in Fulton County, Mecklenburg, on September 13th, 2021, the Board of Supervisors meeting room, the Goody Bank Building, the board by unanimous vote adopted the following resolution. Whereas the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors does hereby wish to honor the Mecklenburg Dixie Boys pre-major all-star baseball team for their outstanding performance. And whereas the local team won the Virginia State Championship in the best-of-3 playoff to qualify for the 2021 Dixie Boys Pre-Majors World Series. And whereas while at the World Series in Sterlington, Louisiana, the Mecklenburg team went 2-2 and defeated the host team in their opening game and ended in 5th place overall for the tournament. And whereas this tournament and the experience of it will help form the character of these young men for the rest of their lives as they know that anything is achievable in their future with hard work. Now therefore be it resolved as the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors does hereby congratulate these young men and their coaches for representing Mecklenburg County on this national stage and for the outstanding performances. Signed, H. Wayne Carter III. Congratulations. Thank you. All right, thank you.
I bought a thank you card for y'all. Give that to you, the chairman for.
All right.
Yes, so thank you for y'all support. Also got one from Mr. Wayne Carter, he supported it. And I also bought y'all some, pens. One of them's Virginia, and the other one is, look like this board. There's enough for each one of the board members, and if anybody else want one, I got a few more, so let me know and I'll make sure Ms. Sheffield gets them to you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you. All right, guys.
Thank y'all.
Also like to thank the board for their donation, contribution to this team. This team, none of the coaches have ever been to the world. None of these young men have ever been to the world. Some of the children out there, the young adults, maybe didn't have the finances to be able to go with y'all's contribution and the surrounding towns gave us. They had an opportunity to go. Some parents couldn't go, so we made certain every child got there and everything was taken care of. They played 4 games. Average temperature was 98, and heat index of 110. They represented this county with pride. The sportsmanship, the camaraderie, you couldn't ask for a better event. I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
All right. Run out of wind here.
One more.
That's doing good, though, they said.
You put any money on that?
Hey, Glenn, read those resolutions. It's a breath thing. Yeah, it's something about it. I don't know what it is. It's, well, I've done it at Farm Bureau, and it's just like,
We've got some energy coming in now, though. These little ones are excited out there. Where'd they go?
Mine's pumped up, maybe.
What team is this, Jim? That's another team, I think.
This is the South Hill Ozone. So these are the
Hour and a half.
Yeah, ain't taking.
Yes,
Y'all come
That's
on.
Chris.
They got a little loose, we're trying to round them up.
Tin legs.
Run around the streets, boy. Yeah, they won't get lost.
No, they don't got all.
Ought to keep them tight.
Oh, yeah, especially
Come on,
that age.
guys.
Yeah, they figured it.
He's leaving outside as long as we can.
Y'all come right here, just kind of form a semicircle right there. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Hey, what's to look at? That's right. Okay, at a meeting of the Board of Supervisors held in Fulton County, Mecklenburg, on September 13th, 2021, in the Board of Supervisors meeting room of the Good Bank Building, the board by unanimous vote adopted the following resolution. Whereas the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors does hereby wish to honor the South Hill Ozone baseball team who won the Virginia-Dixie Youth State Championship. And whereas these young men won this title for the first time in over 50 years for this community and went on to the state championship where they showed their gut and determination and were undefeated at that term. And whereas these young men traveled to Laurel, Mississippi to represent our community in the Dixie Youth World Series. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors does hereby wish to honor the South Hill Ozone baseball team and their coaches for their exemplary play during the Dixie Youth State Championship and ultimately in the Dixie World Series. Signed H. Wayne Carter III. Congratulations.
Come get your shot if you want a picture.
They want to see your face in the picture.
Yeah, please get your shots.
You got one that can't get in.
Oh, yeah. Ought to be.
Crazy.
Oh, okay.
One sitting left, one sitting right. They don't know which way to go.
Yeah, they're waiting for instructions.
Uh-oh.
He would be close.
Judy, do you have an extra agenda? I didn't get one. I mean, I got it here on the computer. I didn't get it. Unless somebody got two.
All right. Thank y'all guys. Congratulations. All right, y'all need to get on the
Thank y'all. Oh, okay.
They take direction well, I see.
All right.
Okay, well, now he's outside for the next individual. Thank y'all again.
Glenn?
That was it, Bill.
So we have a card here with the team on the front of it. It says the coaches and players of the 2021 Mecklenburg Pre-Majors would like to thank you for your support in our travels to the Dixie Boys World Series in Sterlington, Louisiana. We had an awesome time and made memories that will last a lifetime. Thank you, players and coaches. So,
Very good.
Well, they went
turn this
before the
over to.
hurricane too, didn't they? They went before the hurricane.
Yeah, went
Yeah.
for the hurricane too.
That was
All right,
good,
and
man.
the pens will dispense with those later. All right. All right, at this time, we're going to open the floor up for public comment. I would remind everybody of our protocols as far as public comment is concerned. You get 3 minutes to discuss any matters concerning Mecklenburg County. So I don't think we even had a sign-up sheet tonight on. We have anyone?
We have one gentleman here.
Okay.
Sir, you can come on up and just give us your name. Yes, sir.
My name?
Yes, sir. You're speaking. We need your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is
Speaking to the mic.
Joe Stewart. I live at 2572 Ray Road, Broadnax, Virginia.
That's it. Just do that, whatever you want to say.
And my reason for being here today is that for 20 years we have lived on Ray Road, which is an unpaved road. We got all happy a couple weeks ago because they came and started paving the road. So we got all excited. Well, they got halfway through the road, they packed up all their equipment and they left. So we hasn't been able to contact anybody to find out how come they didn't pave the whole road. So that's why we're here tonight.
All right, well, we've got some VDOT people here. We'll get into that later if you see what's going on.
So I can just have a seat?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else?
That's all we have is those.
Okay.
Gentlemen.
All right. So we will consider the public comment session closed. All right, next we have a public hearing to conduct on a special exception permit. David Jones. Is that on you, Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hendrick's on vacation this week.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you're stuck with me. Public hearing is on the application for David Jones for a special exception permit to allow for a total of 3 recreational vehicle sites. Property identified as county tax number 115000, double parentheses A, 074, zoned agriculture, is located on the east side of Highway 1, approximately 1/10 of a mile south of Highway 58, South Hill District, Election District 6, County of Mecklenburg, reference deed book, page 365, 178.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Anyone here representing Mr. Jones who wishes to speak to this matter before we go to public hearing? All right, if not, we will open the public hearing to consider this special exception permit application you just heard read. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter, please come forward at this time. All right, seeing no one, the public hearing is hereby closed. Board, what's your pleasure?
What exactly is this?
You know where the chicken house is? The chicken house is? Right there. They're gonna put up a site for 3 RVs, really, I think for construction workers, or people like that who would just be in there all week long and just to set
Didn't I
up.
say something they were existing sites?
No, I don't think
There-
so.
I think it was an
It was an old tenant house there.
There's an existing septic there.
It was an old tenant house there, and they removed that, so he had the septic tank, the well, and everything. So he's just putting in 3 sites, I think, for.
I think that's why he wouldn't have to add any drain lines, et cetera.
Okay.
That's what the existing tank or drain field would take.
Okay.
Okay, and there is a huge demand for that out in the county, as we were discussing earlier, similar to what you saw on the side of Lawrenceville.
Yeah, down there east side on 58, on the
Yeah.
other side of Lawrenceville, they had probably 6 or 8 right there along the side of 58 when they were building the power plants.
With the amount of construction going on in the county, I'm thinking he's feeling like he'll be able to run them out immediately. There's a pile.
So
there's-
somebody brings their own camp
Right.
and hooks up to his.
Similar to what's going on at the fairgrounds in Chase City. If you've noticed for the last 2 years, they've had campers there. Those are pretty much used by the solar workers. They came in when they were building the first one of the sites at Chase City. They're working in other counties now. But if I'm not mistaken, they've been rented out all the sites down there where they used to have where the fair workers would stay for the last 2 years, Mr. James? And Bob.
So,
No, I just wondered what was going on in this particular one.
so what he provides is electrical hookup and septic. Okay.
And water from the well.
And water, right. Okay.
Motion to approve the application, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a motion to approve this application. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mr. Nichols, you would give us an update? Welcome.
Very much. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I think we've got the presentation. While she's pulling that up, I'd just like to make a comment that I'm very excited to see the young baseball players that have done so well, which stands well for us to be able to have some state championship teams with the new schools when that time comes.
Right.
So we hope that that good coaching will be able to continue and move on through. So this would be the,
I'm trying, I'm sorry. It's right on my side, but not on y'all's.
you got to switch them, I guess.
We're having some technical difficulties.
Yes.
Old times you doing Zoom, wait. What's the flashback?
I still remember.
There. Okay, you recognize the patterns that we've used through the months. We're going to continue with those patterns. Again, this month, we've had a significant amount of progress going on with the new school. If we move on to the next slide, we're going to be talking again about construction, the schedule, the budget, and then some progress photos. I don't know how many of you have had a chance to go by recently. The most noticeable component of it is the roofs that are going up. They're coming along very, very nicely. But as we move on to the construction, you can see the middle school trusses are now complete. The roof underlayment is underway, and quite a bit of the top structure is also going on. Auditorium roof decking is underway and moving along very well. It looks like every time I go in there, it actually seems to get larger rather than smaller. At one point, I looked at it and thought, are we going to be able to put 1,200 seats in here? But it seems the more we go along, it's very obvious that it is. Steel for the auditorium catwalk is being installed. Of course, that's going to be important for all the behind-the-scenes types of things. The fire suppressants and things of that nature are being set up throughout. We have some trials with hooking up the water to the various systems and making sure that all the water is working well. Structural steel work is approximately 95% complete. The curtain wall installation is nearing completion in the cafeterias. That's a lot of the installation. If you go over today, as I did, or now, you'll see brick going up in numbers of places, which is very exciting to see that. Force main is near completion. The concessions being at the middle school, athletic fields around those trusses are complete. And then one of the most noticeable things on the rear end, as you would look at the cafeterias, is that the bus loop canopy steel is underway. That's the canopy that will go over the sidewalk so that as the buses come in, the students will be able to get out in bad weather and not get wet. And we are reminded of how important that is now, because in the last week we had so many of our car drivers who came up, and we need to get the buses in place so that the students can ride the buses and get off of the highway as much as possible. Anticipated completion date now is 1st of August of 22. That's the overall, that's the athletic fields and everything. We're still looking at the building being completed a little bit before that so that we can begin to move in. The curb layout in the west parking lot is coming up That would be the parking lot for the middle school staff persons. That's been a huge mud pit for a long time, but it's now under stone and we'll have some of the asphalt laid. Complete overhead electrical on the high school first floor is almost finished. Grading for the south parking lot will be completed. That's second layers. Concrete walks at the middle school concessions, and then bar joists and catwalks in the auditorium should be completed by the end of next week. So everything is moving along on schedule. Oh, construction budget now is at $110,121,313, and we are still saving a considerable amount of money with owner direct purchasing that's going on. The athletic field lighting has been purchased. We are still finding rock where some of those athletic fields are going, so the rock continues to be a significant issue, but when we have it in there, we know it's not going anywhere because it's being built on a solid granite rock. So we are very pleased about getting prepared for the bleachers, the case walk, and the flooring in the gyms. Moving on to some of the pictures, this is the latest aerial viewpoint. You can see very clearly now on the west end, the football, soccer fields with the track around it, the baseball field, the softball field for the middle school. Then you've got practice fields and areas. Moving on over, you can see the roofing that has been pretty much completed on the gym floors, cafeterias, coming around to the high school end. And now you can see some open areas, but if you were to go up there today, you'd see roofing on the front end of the middle school part. And then in the backfield for the high school, you can begin to see the track. All that was within the track area will be in turf. There's a practice field right beside the central utility plant. And then moving back to the back, you can see the baseball field and the softball field beginning to take place. All the agricultural area is still being worked on. Got good soybeans in it right now, but that's not for us. We're still working with the local farmers on that. And summer projects have moved along very well. So we're very pleased and thankful. Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought that we've got some more. There's examples of the dormers on the north side of the high school. Moving on, you can see the high school courtyard. There are 2 of these at the high school, 1 at the middle school. That's now got the brick, as you can see. It gives you an idea of how good the brick will be looking as you put up. It also shows you that we've got windows at every classroom so that everybody will have natural light. This is the joist and acoustical decking for the auditorium that we mentioned that's going in, and you can see the stage in the background. Still a lot of water collecting there, but we're going to clean that out as soon as the roofs are completed. The cafeterias are really coming along nicely with the windows. You can see the framing in the windows and so forth. And the far back end, you can begin to see that the steel decking that's going to go above for the roof for the students to walk up and down with. And then that's the canopy again, as there's another picture for these. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Any pictures? Any questions? Obviously, we had pictures. Any questions? It's been a long week.
Yeah, one question. I heard once June the 1st, 2022. I noticed that August the 1st, 2022, contract will be gone, or there'll still be some work.
The June one that you heard earlier was specific to the building, as we would get the building complete so that we could begin move in. This is looking at the whole process is supposed to be done in August.
Okay.
That would include the fields and whatnot.
Okay,
So we will begin scheduling a variety of things for the new building for the 22-23 school year, including athletics. We have applied for, it will be a 4A school, and we've applied to be a part of the district that was north of us. We think we'll be hearing from that very closely so that we would be going up and having primary competition beginning with Dinwiddie and up into Colonial Heights and Hopewell in those areas.
Okay, thank you.
So the backside is much farther along than the front.
Yes. Yeah, they put the whole thing in, so it's going from back and around to the front. Any other questions?
Any other question?
You've not experienced any delays. It seems like, everything around us is being delayed. because they can't, get the help in the factories or it's being shipped overseas and everything. It just seems like, you have any delays on any of this materials?
There have been a few minor delays that have been there, but I give credit for the construction organization, Cleveland, because they have found ways to continue work in other areas that wouldn't be impacted by the delays, so that when the delays come in, they can move forward. That's been good, and much of it was pre-ordered even before some of the significant delays started happening. So at this point, we are very pleased with where we are with it. I will let you know if I get any ideas that there's other things going on. There's the typical types of issues when we find a few things in there, but so far we've been able to have most of them worked out between the architects and
We just hear about all the time about, different businesses that can't get any help.
Right.
And so,
Well, they have found a labor force. Some have left, but as far as I've heard, they've not lost to the degree that it's had a significant impact. So we're thankful for that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Taylor is gonna bring us up to speed on some personal property tax assessments here.
Good evening, Ed.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, or afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I recently sent you a memo as well as a chart showing values of various vehicles and a survey of Southside Virginia tax rates. I'm here tonight to expand on some of that information and to report on the status of vehicle values here in Mecklenburg County. I want to begin by saying that we have truly an anomaly that's happening, and it's happened over the last year to 18 months. That's never happened in my lifetime, nor yours. As most of you know, new and used cars are extremely hard to find. Dealers are literally pulling their hair out trying to find cars and trucks for their customers. Prices for these vehicles have gone up significantly. Now, let me stop right here because I want to make it perfectly clear that I'm not blaming any local dealers for these increased prices. They are not gouging members and customers here in Mecklenburg County. They're local business people, and they're involved in their localities and their respective communities, and they're giving back to these communities in organizations every day. They're simply trying to make a living just like everyone else. And it's very frustrating for them to have customers that want to buy a car from them, and they don't have them, and they can't get them. So I just want to make sure that in my comments that everyone understands that. This is truly an anomaly. In the information that I sent you, I stated that assessment values were up anywhere from 10 to 40% on average. The make and model of the car or truck has caused these increases to vary some, but as a rule of thumb, assessment values have gone up significantly this year. And it doesn't matter whether you're looking at NADA or Kelley Blue Book or some other valuation service. All values are up. I've had people ask me, well, how do you come up with values of vehicles? Well, the answer is my office, as well as every other commissioner of the revenue in the state of Virginia, uses NADA or J.D. Power. J.D. Power bought NADA 3 years ago, I think. And we use the NADA used car guide to provide these values. And the NADA guide is the oldest and most respected, widely used valuation service in the United States. We use their clean loan value, which is approximately 20% less than the retail value that you would pay at a car dealership, typically. That's the assessed value that all citizens of Mecklenburg County pay taxes on. And that's the assessed value. In fact, Section 58.1-3503 of the Code of Virginia, of which I also provide you a copy, requires that we use a recognized pricing guide to assess the value of all vehicles. And that's another reason why my office and every county in Virginia uses NADA. Now, let's talk values and what's happened over the last year to 18 months. And this is what NADA anticipates, as well as my office, may happen over the next year or so. But let's begin with some of the events in history that's brought us to this point. Back in 2020, when COVID first hit, and hospitals, clinics, and doctors' offices were overrun with patients, there was a nationwide shortage of PPE equipment, respirators, and ventilators. The federal government went to car manufacturers and other manufacturers and asked them if they would convert their assembly lines and their assembly plants into respirator and ventilator manufacturing facilities to address the emergency nationwide shortage. A number of manufacturers stepped up, and they did that. They took some of their production offline to produce this equipment. Well, what happened was they unintentionally reduced some of their capacity. And at the time, it wasn't a big deal because everybody was huddled at home, businesses were cutting back, automobile sales were down. There wasn't demand for vehicles as they are today. A second item that happened, rental car companies did not sell and replenish their inventories as they historically do annually. Thus, the number of used vehicles that would have entered the used car market did not, thus leading to reduced numbers of used cars. A third thing that happened, stimulus checks issued by the federal government were a boon for the automobile and appliance industry, and robust sales put additional strain on an already tight manufacturing sector, i.e. automobiles. COVID was affecting manufacturers because they were having to shut down plants and assembly lines because of COVID infections, thus increasing the shortage of vehicles that were being produced. The Federal Reserve continued to keep interest rates low, and in fact, they were close to zero, creating an incentive to buy automobiles, of which people did, creating more demand on production that wasn't happening. The last and most important shoe to drop over the last 6 months has been the chip shortage. We've all heard about chip shortages. I am told that there are numerous chips in every automobile, and they control everything from ignition to electrical systems, engine operation, braking, and major systems of a car or a truck. In fact, Ford and GM last week made the announcement that effective this week, they would shutter temporarily some of their plants that make cars and trucks for at least 2 weeks, possibly longer, because they don't have chips. Can't get them. Well, the question is asked, well, why can't they get chips? Well, the answer is most chips are made in Taiwan and China. These countries are saying they're struggling with COVID themselves and they can't turn out the chips fast enough for their own use, much less for the rest of the world. So, until we build chip manufacturing plants in the U.S. and we become more self-sufficient, we will probably continue to be at their mercy. And I'm asked, well, why can't they produce more chips? Well, a small chip manufacturing plant, I'm led to think, is very expensive to build. It's a very clean facility. It has to be. A small chip factory runs billions of dollars. to build, not M, but with a B, billions of dollars. So the chip shortage is the main problem that the automobile industry is affected by today. They can't manufacture enough new cars, which affects the number of used cars available to the public. So it's a real catch-22 situation. NATO says that there are usually around 3 million cars at their dealers in inventory on a daily basis, on average. They estimate that there's less than 1 million today, and that figure should probably remain pretty level unless the chip situation worsens. If it worsens, then that figure will drop more, which will only exacerbate the problem. So in summary, we have cars and pickups that have appreciated anywhere from 10 to 40% over the last year on average. Everybody's affected. I don't like it. I know you don't like it. The public certainly doesn't like it. As an example, I have a vehicle that went up 59% compared to last year. I have another vehicle that went up 39% compared to last year. So normally these vehicles would come down in value, but that's what the value is based on NADA's clean loan value. So everybody's affected. The bottom line is our taxes will probably go up because of this once-in-a-lifetime event. And it could last for a year or more. The silver lining is that you all have kept our personal property and real estate tax rates low when compared to other counties in Southern Virginia and Northern North Carolina. The chart that I sent you, I polled our neighbors. And in fact, our personal property rates are anywhere from 12% to 33% less than our neighbors, and actually higher than some of our North Carolina neighbors. The percentage is higher, meaning ours are lower. So that's some consolation. I hope this answers some of your questions. Sandra, Wayne, and I have met a couple times over the last week. Once these figures came in and we saw what they were, unfortunately, it's not real good news, but we wanted to bring this to you as soon as we could. And I'm glad to try and answer any questions you might have, but the facts are facts, and I just wish I had better news. So, any questions?
Does this tax increase start at any particular year model, like 205 and up, or what?
Well, it varies, Mr. Hargrove, from vehicle to vehicle. For instance, the vehicles that have real good mileage have appreciated significantly. SUVs and pickups particularly. Pickups have always held their value. It's amazing. If you want to invest in something, buy a pickup.
That's about right.
I'm serious. A pickup has held its, and it always has. And pickups have appreciated pretty significantly.
2015 and up, really, though, were the greatest.
It was.
2015 up were the greatest increases.
Yes, sir.
You'll have a smaller, percentage-wise, it might be fairly 20%. If you got a vehicle that's only worth $5,500 and it goes up to $6,200, as a percentage, it only went up $700, but it's gone up a fair percentage. But the largest increases and the most value increases are from 2015 on.
Newer vehicles. Yes, sir.
Especially from 2017. If you bought a car 2 years ago, it's going to be valued at what you paid for it 2 years ago.
So mileage has nothing to do with it.
Very little, believe it or not, very little. You know, I was in a conference call with a NATO group with their vice president and their director of research and pricing. And he said, you know, it's amazing. And all of you know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I can remember 30 years ago, if you had a vehicle that had 100,000 miles on it, you better be making arrangements. You were going to have issues. 100,000 miles is nothing today on a car or a truck. It's just getting broke in. So go back to your question on mileage, the 100,000 mile figure is nothing compared to what it was. And but to answer your question, the values are up across the board. Some are more than others. Your newer vehicles have more appreciation. I'll tell you a pattern we're seeing. And you probably have heard people say the same thing. We are hearing people say that they bought a car 2 and 3 years ago, and the dealer is willing to give them what they paid for it.
I heard that.
2 and 3 years ago. Some cases, more. That's how short vehicles are, in short supply. And so it's amazing. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Yes, sir.
My question is, if you've got, you've got two vehicles, they're both, I don't know, Toyota Camrys, 2015. One's driven 32,000 miles a year, the other's driven 12. And that's gone on for 4 or 5 years. How do you compare those two? How do you tax them exactly the same?
We use the clean loan value without adjustments, and it goes back to the mileage issue. That vehicle, the clean loan value is about a 20% discount for both vehicles. And so until that vehicle reaches like a 200,000 mile threshold, believe it or not, it's very little difference in the value. Conversely, let me play devil's advocate with you. Somebody that might drive a vehicle 25,000 miles a year, that person generally is a salesman, or they drive that vehicle in the course of their business. There again, for those counties of which we never have adjusted for high mileage because of cars are more dependable than they used to be. But for those, there are lots and lots of people who drive a car 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 miles a year. They might go to the doctor, they might go to the grocery store, or run across town. And those folks are not penalized for low mileage by adding value to their vehicle any more than a person that might drive vehicles. They're not given a discount. So it's kind of an average to answer your question. There also is an administrative headache that you are involved with that enters into play. All sorts of documentation, if you do it like it ought to be, is required. And the counties that I have talked to say that a relatively small percentage of the taxpayers provide the documentation, such as an inspection receipt or a oil change receipt from a garage that has the odometer reading on it. And a person generally needs to drive a vehicle at least 20,000 miles a year. For those counties that do give a discount before they're eligible, many of them don't even apply for it. So we have chosen not to do it in years past. And especially with the dependability of cars, high mileage is not the issue that it once was, plus the fact the board has always maintained a very, very attractive tax rate. So.
Well, one thing I would like to see us do, and I know that, this will be in the newspapers, the press covering this meeting, but is also maybe make a special effort to try to get the word out to the public that this is what's coming down the pike and why, if we have to do it through, the newspapers or social media, whatever, so that, when they get their tax bills in the mail, it won't be, there'll be some idea of what's going on. And because your phone line is gonna be, they're gonna burn your phone line up.
Absolutely.
Ours too.
And I know it's coming.
So I think the more information we can get out to the public, you know, whatever format that may be, I think that's very important we do that.
Thank you, and I agree with you. We plan to do that.
Okay.
But we wanted to come to y'all first.
Yeah.
I just think professional courtesy, I needed to come to you first. And, but yes, sir, that's what we plan to do. We'll probably, even though people don't look at their bills as close as they should, we hope to put something in the bills as well, but in concert with the newspapers, and we may even get a note out to the public as well. But PSAs are critically important, and the newspapers are good partners to help do that.
And what we were trying to do, this really came up in the last week, okay? We can have, because he gets his final figures then, and when we were preparing the budget, we knew that our numbers for personal property will be up this year. That's part of what we put in the budget, because we could see the trend coming from February, March, April, and they were slowly increasing, okay? They increased greatly, I think, between April and July 1.
That's
July
right.
1's our date.
I agree.
A lot of localities use a different time frame depending upon your locality as to when you use your calendar year versus your fiscal year. Okay, but this is happening across the state. Ourselves in Charlotte, I think, are the only two counties that do the July 1, but almost all cities do. And it's going to hit all the other counties January 1 when their bills go up. And we're not looking at the values really decreasing at all between now and July or January. They haven't so far. As a matter of fact, they've gone up even more in August and September. Also, we're trying to do this just so y'all know what's going on. The public knows, because in 3 weeks, bills go up. Well, 3 weeks, they go actually to the printer. Right. So everything's set. We really don't have, this was just more of an informational so that everyone knows what's about to happen, because it's going to be happening across the state.
Right.
Question, you have an idea of what percentage of the vehicle that would be 2015 plus or be affected by? Have an idea? 40, 50,
Yes,
60?
100%.
Mr. Spain, as far as a firm number, no, I can't answer your question. But what I can say is that almost across the board, anything from 2015 up is going up. I can tell you, I've done enough research where I've seen that pattern.
And it's kind of like this one person put it to me, when you buy a new car, you don't go, I wonder how much the tax is going to be on this. I better not buy a car.
Yeah,
because,
I'll think about it.
but you go ahead and buy it, because you got to pay the taxes.
It's
anyway.
part of the cost, really.
Yes, but it is part of the cost. What you're seeing is that car or truck you bought 3 years ago is back to that same value. But if something happens to it and you have insurance on it, you're going to be getting that value back from the insurance company too. So that's the other side of it, because that's the value of it. And that's kind of where we're at. I mean, it's kind of like building materials are going up, everything else is.
Well, yeah, I would appreciate you keeping
Wish I
us.
had-
What's it gonna add to the revenue?
I
Sir,
don't know yet. We haven't figured that out exactly. It'll be significant, but we actually added money in. We'll have to sit down and look at how much we added back in to balance the budget this year. But, we've talked about the rainy day fund, and we can look at any of that money that we get off the personal property tax this year would go to that rainy day fund. And that way that'll be part of it, and we'll take a look at that as part of the year-end process.
All right.
So is any kind of wrecks or anything, if a car has been damaged and even it's been put back together, so to speak, it has the same value as one that's never been wrecked?
no, sir, if a vehicle.
Not salvage, I mean just wrecked.
Right. If a car has been wrecked and it's in bad shape, we tell them that they can come and I'll look at it. But it has to be in bad shape.
Well, is there a
If it just
appraisal
has, if it just has
service
rust
available?
on it, if it's got some dings on it, no, sir, we don't.
Okay.
Well,
Got 4 tires.
if it's moving, yeah, he's probably not.
If it's running,
on a
Let's move
rollback,
something
you
in
might
the
get
if it's
busted.
running and
Right,
passing,
that's what he's saying right there.
One more thing I would point out, one of the things we use is debt set-off to collect taxes at the end of the year. And Sandra uses that as part of her collection process, and that's on personal property.
Yes.
Okay. Debt set-off is based upon your rebate back that you're gonna get from the state of Virginia, okay? Right now, people are getting their child tax credit every month, okay? Which means next year, you're not gonna get that value back. So that $300 per child that you're getting this month and last month and all year, you're not gonna get that $3,600 back per child next year, which is gonna greatly affect people's rebates. People who got rebates are gonna owe taxes now. It's been on the news also. That's gonna affect our collection rate because a lot of people know their taxes are just gonna get stacked and they wait till that happens and we get their taxes out. Well, if they don't get a rebate, they're not going to have anything for us to have. So we think that's gonna actually affect our collection rates. We won't know,
We'll see.
but we'll see. Last year, because people got COVID payments from the federal government, I actually, across the state, not just here, across the state, collections were up last year.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, and that was statewide. So some things, it's like a lot of these anomalies, we'll see what happens. We are concerned about that because debt set-off is fairly large. And we've had issues with regards to DMV this year because people haven't had to go to DMV to get many of the services, so that has also affected our collections on that.
All right, thanks, Ed.
Yeah, get ready to pay.
Okay, Mr. Jones, Economic Development Committee report.
Right. The Economic Development Committee met on Monday, September 13th, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room. Members present, Charles Jones, Chairman, Clancy Spain, Jim Jennings, Tom Tanner. Others present, Glenn Barber, David Brankley, Sterling Wilkinson, Claudia Lundy, Andy Hargrove, Wayne Carter, the county administrator. Meeting was called to order. Mr. Carter reviewed the bids received for the Herbert Drive Revenue Sharing Project, Highway 58, Turning Lane Reconstruction Project. One bid was received from J.R. Caskey Incorporated with a base total of $1,349,757. Upon a motion by Mr. Spain, the committee voted unanimously to recommend awarding the bid for the Herbert Drive Revenue Sharing Project, Highway 58 Turning Lane Reconstruction, ION project, to J.R. Caskey Incorporated for a base bid of $1,349,757. Mr. Carter presented a revenue sharing project. Upon a motion by Mr. Spain, the committee unanimously approved the revenue sharing project for RRRBP. Being no further business, meeting was adjourned. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion for approval.
Okay. All right, you've heard the report, you've heard the motion. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. Mr. Carter.
Mine is lost. So much. It went away and it won't come
Russell
back.
has it too in paper form.
Did yours die?
No, it won't pull that down far enough. I've got a bunch of stuff and it's just, sure enough, H is not there. That's me why. I've got K, L, some other stuff, but H is gone. So you have the building permits for the month.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Did we, skip the personnel committee?
Closed session.
No.
So, that's, sorry.
That was private.
So you have building permits, they continue to be up. If you knew it, still new house construction is 10 houses this month. Am happy to say, as Mr. Jones brought up before the board meeting, prices of OSB and 2x4s are down in the past month significantly. We don't know why. I don't know that anyone's upset about it, but it's very much increasing. And again, you can see our building permits are still holding very steady, or if not up from last year. You have zoning administrator's report. Again, permits are up. Animal warden's report. Sheriff's office report. With regards to speeding, that's the vast majority of the tickets, as well as the number of calls for services and businesses that they have checked in on. VDOT is here. Give a report. Hopefully they're going to be able to answer. Ray Road for the gentleman.
I'll do my best. Good evening, board. Good evening,
evening.
Mr. Chair. Y'all have got our summary, my monthly summary. Just gonna go over a few things here. I will tell you, secondary grass mowing and primary grass mowing is underway now. The Henrico Bridge project, down next to the North Carolina line, that is complete now. Our rural rustic updates, Allen Road is now completed. And as the gentleman said, Ray Road right now is under construction, the first segment. There actually was out doing some paving there. I'm gonna circle back to Ray Road in a second. Something else that was mentioned at last month's board meeting, I wanted to get some good information for you, some accurate stuff. Route 92 bridge at Butcher's Creek near Parsons Road, that is still on schedule for April 2022 construction, and it should be completed at August of 2023. So we're looking at 15 months there where that road will be a single lane. And utility relocation on that project has now been completed. So hopefully we'll see more movement in that. To get back to Ray Road, the first segment of Ray Road was on the previous 6-year plan. We're finishing up that 6-year plan right now. Ray Road, that first segment was actually the last project on that 6-year plan. The next segment, the second segment of the road, is on the next 6-year plan, the 2022 to 2028 plan. The funding for that segment, for that package, will not open up until spring of 2022. So the money is there, but the charges have not opened and funded. The second segment on that road is scheduled for construction in 2023. And just to let you know, we are following the priority that was passed by the board that was from the secondary road committee. And that's where that road fell on the priority list for 2023.
Okay,
Any
so,
questions?
do you folks understand what he was just saying, that it'll be 2023 before they come back and finish the road? Okay.
He hears it, he just don't want it.
No, because my theory has been all along is that I've been being told for the last 20 years that we are on the next 6 years, and the next 6 years, and the next 6 years. So how can you, in any kind of realistic, come back and say, well, we only want to do 1 mile or 3 mile road, we only want to do 1 mile every 6 years?
Well, sir, we've dealt with roads and 6-year plans forever, and it's always the money for those roads comes through the state. The county doesn't have any control over it. So we have to follow what, the budget that the state gives us, and that's the best that we can do. So as he just said, the funding is there for 2022, but the construction won't get started until 2023, and your road should be completed in 2023. That's about all we can tell you about it.
What other choices do I have other than to come and talk to you?
Well, you can talk to your state representative about it. The people in Richmond have the purse strings. The county doesn't, and I wish I could, be a bearer of better news, but unfortunately, we've had to deliver this kind of news from a long time for many different roads. So, but anyway, that's the best we can do from now. Okay.
And me and Mr. Johnson, we're gonna step outside, and if we'll be happy to talk to you outside and take any questions that you have.
Are you going to pay for us?
That's the question. Not tonight.
Yes, sir, 2023. It will get paved in 2023.
Hey, at least you're on the list.
Any other questions for VDOT before we step out?
Yeah, any more VDOT questions?
No, sir.
All right, thanks for your report, appreciate it.
Okay, well, at least it ended on a light note.
That's all he was doing.
Let's see. We, next thing, we have is W.W. Moore. When we did the true up at W.W. Moore this year, we had $38,613.75 on our account. They mailed us a check back. We need to reappropriate this money to that line item again for this coming year's budget, because if we have a bad year, we could easily owe that and much more. We have 4 beds set aside at W.W. Moore for every day. If we don't use them and they can find someone else to go in there, they then charge that community that day, and we get that credit back. They have shut down entire wings. There is a push, according to the JD&R judge, to not use W.W. Moore as our detention center or any detention center because of the fact that they're trying to get these kids back out. This is the same situation we have at the regional jail. They don't keep people in jail unless you've done something very bad. So what used to happen and what would require you to go to detention no longer is even covered. So.
Yeah, because it's not often we get refund checks. It's usually we're writing checks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
So we would like to actually credit this back to the line item for this coming year. We've been doing this for a number of years. That way we'll have funds left over, hopefully, at the end of every year. So we need a reappropriation.
So we need a motion to reappropriate this $38,613.75 back to the appropriate line item.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
You've heard the motion. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Next, the Southside Planning District Commission is proposing to change their membership. You have several board members on the board. They're looking at changing us from having 8 members of the 28-member board down to having 4 members of a 15-member board. Now they've looked to make it at 17 because it kind of went back and forth.
17, yeah.
Originally it was 15, then they made it 17, and now we'll have 5 members.
17.
Yeah. They actually increased it to members and actually gave each county another member.
Right.
So we will now have 5 instead of the 8 that we had previously, and the 17, if that was still a reasonable number, Mr. Jones, because of the fact of some of the questions some of the towns had. I know some of the towns are not happy. South Boston's been in the paper. They wanted to go back to their original 4, and they were basically, I think their board member or council member said, if we do that, we're never going to change this. The 28 number, many members of the Planning District Commission felt was too large for open discussions. You all 3 are on there, so y'all want to pitch in?
Yeah.
4, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I think from what they had said was, with having the 28 members, it was just more going through the motions. It was flipping through the book, we're approving this, we're paying this, blah, blah, blah. And there was really no discussion as to what the needs from Mecklenburg were or the needs from Halifax or any of the member jurisdictions. And they're trying to streamline it somewhat to be able to have more open discussion about what's going on. Because anybody knows when you get a large group of people, it's hard to have productive discussion, and they're trying to streamline it a little bit, but yet still give everybody representation.
We got 9 here. Can you imagine 28?
Right.
I thought it gave Halifax an additional.
They gave the county one, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but all of our members on that board, their terms don't all expire at the same time, do they?
No, sir. So what's going to happen is we got to pass a resolution, which is included in your packet. Once we do that, they will go back at the end of this year, because that's got to be done before the end of the year. And they'll come back to you all and say, okay, for example, right now there's 4 board members on this commission. There's only going to be 3.
Right.
So who are the 3 going to be? Here are your other members. Reappoint them. Here we go. So they're going to actually go ahead and redo that so that they come up with new members, because some people have got to get off. You'll have the counties of Halifax and Mecklenburg with 5, Brunswick with 3, and South Boston and South Hill at 2.
And I think you'll see in the packet too, it had a percentage kind of for each county.
Right.
Based on the number of the population, and also the way she had done it too, the minority representation would stay basically the same. It's 25% now, and it would be 29% roughly.
And we've always exceeded that. That's the minimum.
That's the minimum, so we've always.
That's the minimum.
So our board members don't take issue with this then? I mean, you're comfortable with this?
I'm comfortable with it. In order for them to be able to try to streamline to get more done, I think we're going to have to, they had to figure out something to.
Right, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, and all of us agreed to the change in what they were doing
Okay.
about this population.
All right, so that being the case, then we need to adopt this resolution. It's in your packet that changes this the membership. So we need a motion to adopt that resolution.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion to adopt the resolution for the Southside Planning District Commission membership change. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Next, you have the Maharan River Regional Jail Report. I would like to bring a couple things to y'all's. We currently have 34 vacancies, okay, and 18 held in reserve. That's pretty well. We went back in April and changed our salary requirements, increased it to a beginning salary of $40,000, which was, I think, a $6,000 increase. Changed a couple of other items, trying to get more people in. We did. The problem was all we did was basically keep up with how many people we're losing. Okay, this is an issue in corrections across the board. Mr. Tanner emailed me this morning about it. Are we the only ones? Well, if you look at the paper from up at Charlottesville, Lynchburg area, the Albemarle Charlottesville jail has having the same situation. Over the weekend, if you watch one of the Raleigh stations, the sheriff in Wake County was sitting there doing the same thing. He's actually pulling deputies down there to run his jail. He doesn't have enough guards to even run his jail, so he's having to pull his deputies in. It's statewide. I've heard stories of the state of what they're paying at some of their prisons, the rate, travel pay, everything else. Corrections is having a difficult time across the board. It's similar at the Tidewater, Norfolk jail down there.
Sussex, Surrey, Greenville, Southampton, that area, pull people in.
So it's across the board. We have the vacancies. As soon as we gain 2 more, 2 people leave. Corrections is a difficult field because you have to remember one thing. You're back in there too. Okay, so it's not for everybody. And a lot of people don't realize it until they've had their training, et cetera. But we're still trying to get this facility back up. But until we can get our numbers up with actually, and we have to actually send those guards to school once we get people, and it takes 6 months. So once we ever get some numbers up, we hope to get the Mecklenburg Wharton facility back open. It has been down now for a year. When COVID hit at our other facility, it hit guards and inmates, and we lost so many guards out due to sickness that we couldn't run 2 places. And we still can't safely run 2 places, would you say, Sheriff?
It is.
And the sheriff and Tom on the board.
I mean, we couldn't do it right now. It's no way.
I talked to our new chairman, Kevin Massengill, every couple of weeks. We're willing to try anything. It's just an issue across the board, and it's not just here. They're having the same thing, I think, up at Chesterfield with theirs. And they've actually, the one down at Norfolk, is that the one?
They shut it down.
They shut that one down. So, and actually the communities had to go back and take their inmates back because they were still operating jails.
Well, your labor pool's got to be shrinking.
It is.
All the time.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. And this is a field that's hard to get people in, but it's the same issue you've got everywhere. Less and less people.
Was it 6 months training, not the then the police officer train longer than that, like 9 months?
Basically, the 6 months is the in-house training. They go to an academy for 3 months. The regular deputy goes for almost 7.
Okay.
So
But they get out and they start at 40,000 a year.
40,000.
That's it.
That's not,
The reality is this.
Somebody-
If you're in DOC, you can't come to work for us. Your certification doesn't transfer, and our certification doesn't transfer to them.
okay.
So, which is crazy because both of them are keeping similar inmates. They go from our facility to that DOC facility. Okay? So this is the straight line. They get on a bus, they go to the bullpen, they're taken from the bullpen to their correctional facility. And those don't transfer. So the only thing that we can get from anyone is someone from another regional jail. We're the only one here. Mm-hmm. So unless we get somebody from Emporia, Southside, any of the rest of them, it's such a drive
Yeah, exactly.
that you're not going to get somebody from Blue Ridge
No.
coming down from a lot of these areas, so it's difficult. So that's an issue we're having. Also, you can see in here our inmate population. It has stayed steady, and throughout, as well as other localities. I will tell you, Dinwiddie is back down to 80. When we originally designed the census, they had 100. They haven't hit 100 inmates since the beginning almost, and COVID hasn't helped that. We still have the largest percentage of the inmate population. Do you have any questions on it? We still keep some federal inmates. I wish I could tell you when that was going to open back up, but I don't think we could do it right now safely at any cost.
No, it's treading water right now. It's just trying to keep up, and even with the salary increases and everything else, that was just to try to keep what you had and hopefully recruit a few more. But everybody's seeing that issue all around, and this is a challenging field to be in, so it's just hard.
I just want y'all to realize when you hear complaints from people about having to go down to Alberta instead of here, and we're just not able to open this facility this time. So, do you have anything to add, Mr. Chairman? Do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, it's no way safely right now it can be done. We want to do it, but the numbers are just not there to be able to do it.
Next, I have the Batty application. If you remember, several of you are on the PDC board. The PDC was doing a regional grant to apply for Batty funds. This was for Mecklenburg, Brunswick, and Halifax. We had an interview committee. Mr. Spain and I were on that committee. The committee had two applicants and selected Empower to go with. We've actually included Charlotte because the southern part of Charlotte County is also did a similar Batty application procurement process, and Empower was picked there. We're looking at a 20% match using our ARPA funds. If you look at ours, they're trying to do the entire county at 3 years. Our match is $3,078,170.39. I do want to make some clarifications on this. When we talk about this VATI application, you can only use it to go into areas that are unserved or underserved. So you've heard this said before, but I want to make sure everybody understands it. There have been several different grants out there that the federal government has sold to provide broadband to different communities, census tracts. The first one was called CAF, C-A-F. Don't ask me what it stands for. But they did a couple of sets of auctions off of it. If you were taking in those, that provider is paid to actually slowly put in broadband. They're paid 20% of their operational cost for up to 10 years before they have to have it in. Okay? It can be up to 10 years. It's supposed to be within 6, though, is what they've said. Then 3 years ago, they did something called RDOF, which was a similar one. They do it as an auction, and it's a reverse auction. I'm bidding against you down. So if you and I, Mr. Jones, want the same area, I bid $1 million, you bid 900, I bid 800. Now, we keep going back and forth till one of us drops out. And whoever gets it at the lowest price, that's what the federal government's gonna give you to build that, okay? Some of these blocks have been bid down to a cost that no one can even come close to doing. I mean, dollars for passing, there's just no way. Then there's something, SpaceX bought a bunch of these, okay? Yeah, SpaceX bought a bunch of these, they own some in our county, okay? Wilkes Communication out of North Carolina bought a bunch in our county under the RDOF and the CAF. Empower Broadband got some under the CAF, they got some under RDOF, and CenturyLink, I think, owns a bunch around Southfield. They got under. If it is in one of those other, if it's in a CAF, RDOF, or SpaceX blocks, we can't use this money to match it and provide the service there. Okay, so I want people to realize that. So, yes, sir, you're in one that doesn't get covered right now. That doesn't mean, now I will tell you, some of these blocks are being turned in. Wilkes Communication turned in their RDOF blocks back the 1st of August in our county. So the co-op is going after those in this part. They still have their RDOF blocks that they can use it for because they're considered covering it, and they're doing it under this grant, matching. They have some CAF, but there's still some SpaceX, some CAF blocks that Wilkes owns, and some CAF blocks that CenturyLink owns that are not covered under this, okay? This grant, though, will probably get 75 to 80% of the county covered in 3 years. That's the best we can come up with at the time. If somebody gives up those other blocks, then we can go back after that with another VATI grant.
So you just can't pursue those blocks.
Can't do anything with this grant on it right now. If you took just your money, Mecklenburg County's money, we could go to Empower and then try to work out an agreement with who pays what percentage on those. Yes, you can. But you can't go after another grant in there. We're hoping, just like on the RDOF blocks that Wilkes gave up, that some of the other ones will give theirs up. Because if Mecklenburg goes and does what's shown on this chart here, there's going to be holes in it. Okay, we know that. But the other people, it's going to be too costly for them to go in and provide coverage to those holes. Hopefully, at that point in time, they'll go, okay, you can have it.
So is it appropriate for Empower to contact these people and say, hey, this is what we're getting ready to do here?
Once we've applied the application,
up
we hope that they're going to do it on their own. Wilkes did on their own. As they see what this application is, we feel that that's going to kind of push some people to realize that they're never going to be able to build this. And cost-wise, they just can't do it and give it up. But we need to get the application in and get this grant in order to then push them to that. Because right now, Mr. Barber, there is nothing for them to want to do it because they're going, well, if they don't get the grant, we still got the blocks.
Right.
Okay. So that's why we're going forward with this. We have to guarantee as part of the application the $3,078,000. As part of that, and need formal approval of the board, we'd use our ARPA funds, which came from the federal government, which you have roughly $5.9 million.
Yeah, the comment that E-Power is the only one in town that willing to do that. Another person came to bid, but they were not even in the game. So Empower said they would do it, cover the county, give them 3 years. Wayne talks about other companies had bought some blocks. E-Power said they even maybe down the road go after that. They're dedicated to making sure we get it covered in approximately 3 years.
Well, it's incredible they can do it in 3 years.
Yeah. If we get the grant, it probably won't start till.
I want to mark it on my calendar.
It doesn't start till January, actually 2022.
January, okay.
And so, you're applying now. The state's not going to announce these and give you the money until next year. And then once you sign the documents, the 3-year begins. Okay. But that means hopefully by roughly the end of 2024, 80% of the county would have service.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
All right, so we need a motion then to go forward with this, how you pronounce it, VATI application request, committing ourselves to this $3,078,170.
And Chairman, I'll make a motion that we commit Mecklenburg to the $3,078,000 $107.39.
All right.
E-Power.
You heard the motion into discussion?
Well, just a question, all this grant money and all coming in and going to Empower, and they being the only broadband provider, who regulates the price, the cost of this to a customer when they're the only person in town?
I'm not sure that there is any
There's no
regulatory.
regulations on anybody's cost. As they told us, they have a standard package. And then there is a program under the federal government right now, which is being tried to be made long-term, but it's through 2025. You can apply if you're low to moderate income, the price goes down to $15 a month. And then the federal government pays the remaining, I think their minimum package is $69.99 or something like that, $70.
Yeah,
So
$69.
you end up paying $15 and the federal government pays $55.
I can see a lot of people not being able to afford this, and as bad as we need it for the schools and the kids and everything, that a lot of the low-income people would not be able to afford
But at
hooking on to
$15
broadband.
a month, I'm not sure that's about as affordable as.
If that'll happen, yeah.
They actually have the program right now, and they send it out. Anyone who wants, they can get it for that, if you qualify. You have to do the paperwork, but they'll send you the paperwork, everything else. And they actually have told us, as part of that interview, Mr. Spain, that they
That's correct.
actually help people fill it out, correct?
That's correct. Apply for it.
So, I mean, I've got to go by that. If they've got it, the program, the federal government's paying it $15 a month, and it's going by your house.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
One more questions. I see Mecklenburg, it's gonna cost $73 million, and Halifax $61 million, when Halifax has more miles than Mecklenburg by 25. It would seem to be the other way around.
You've got some areas, I know that they were talking about around the lake where they've got more density.
Probably costs
And that
more.
helps their cost per drop. If you look at our drop cost, our cost is only $3,600 per drop, and Halifax is $6,800.
Okay.
Now, one of the things you've got is, what's the difference? I'm not sure how much of Halifax is, the aerial's much cheaper to run.
Right.
Where they're putting in underground, it is much more expensive. They've run underground down Country Club, Gym, all the way across the creek, down, and all the way to Allen's Creek the other way. And that's probably 7 miles.
At least, maybe more.
And they've been working on that for months. And so it's part of that backbone, but they came up with these cost figures.
There's a lot of factors involved with it.
Yes, sir. And they've told us that, and different equipment needed in different locations. That's really all I know. Our mileage is fairly, if you look, in our 22 million, because a lot of it depends upon Dominion. If you look, Dominion's going to put another $5.2 million in Halifax, putting in that middle mile. So if you're a Dominion territory customer, they're going to have to run that fiber on their line. And then the co-op has to put the drops into your house, okay? So that's a cost that they don't have to pay. So when you look at those, first off, you have to look at the VATI, which is the half, 45%. Then you go to Dominion, then you've got the remaining. Our remaining costs are higher. And one of the things that they were looking for is they've discussed doing a loan on part of ours, and then the 20%. So if you look at that 15, that's why ours is higher than Halifax is 13.4. But the big cost difference is the 5.1 million that Dominion's paying in additional running. They don't have, Dominion has more territory in Halifax than here. All right. Okay. And I'm hoping to get the blocks that are in the holes, Mr. Jennings. My goal is to get them done for 3 years. We try. I'll at least come up with a plan to do it.
Right, any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
We got one more thing, and then this, what was up? Okay, we have VGA, we need an alternate to their board. Angie and I were discussing, we have a new director on that. And we've never appointed an alternate to the best of our knowledge, nor do we have any memory of it. For that board, she and I are the board members, but we need an alternate. If one of you all are willing, if you want to think about it a month, you can. But we meet every other month. We will be meeting every month till the end of this year as we try to bring Mr. Denny up to speed and work on some marketing. Go ahead.
So would anybody like to step up and volunteer tonight, or you want to think about it? If you have any questions for Wayne and Angie, you can certainly ask them and we can bring it up at the next meeting.
You can think about it a month, I think.
All right, we'll think about it a month. All right. Proceed, Mr. Carter.
Same answer next month. Same amount of volunteers next month.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, I have two quick updates. Buckhorn has been demolished. I'm waiting on the seed and grass to come up. You all were worried about how much the tipping fees would be. They did a really good job of cleaning it up. Our tipping fees were right at $24,000. They did miss a few loads they took to the Lunenburg landfill, and they have to eat that because it said we would only pay for it if it was taken to the regional landfill. So he said, my driver went to the wrong one. He said, we saved, but it was about $30,000, which really still wasn't bad for the amount of material. Other thing is, early voting begins this Friday. Our registrar has moved as of today. He is open at the Old Bruce Library. I believe Mr. Tanner got a sneak preview today. Right there.
He was leaving right when I pulled up, so I stepped in there, and it really looks nice in there. They're still finishing up some of the stuff, but it does look really good. He's happy. He's got plenty of storage. He's got a secure room for all the voting machines, and he's tickled to death.
Very good.
They'll actually be setting up the voting machines tomorrow. They are pleased. We are working still on the outside a little bit. Railings on the handicap ramp. We don't have to have them, but we're putting them up anyhow. And a little bit of additional stuff on the back. He is hooked into our phone system for now. And our fiber is part of our system, so we are happy. And Jason seems to be very happy.
Question. I see some foundation on the north side of the building. What is that for?
That's the handicap ramp.
Handicap ramp.
Off around back, I think you can come up.
Come around, okay.
Now, they'll still do what they've done in the past, and he's working on some signage. If people pull up in the front, they have a handicap spot there. They would come out to your car, just like they did out there. He said, we will come out, we will serve you, so you don't have to get out your car if you don't want to. He said, we had a lot of people who did that. If the weather's permitting, he said, we really didn't have a lot of people trying to get out and vote when it was terrible weather. But if it's a pretty day, he said, we go out to the cars as we have done in the past, and they did it the other one. I don't know of anyone who has not found Jason and Ms. Terry and the rest of their staff to be wonderful to work with.
Very good.
Yeah, so they're very, very pleased. That's all I have, and I think Jenny's up next.
Just a second. So the new Mecklenburg County webpage launched today, or went live today. So it's www.mecklenburgva.com, just like you were used to. And this is the new look. So we have some buttons that are new. This is going to work for me. So Alert Mecklenburg, you can go here and sign up. That's through the 911 center, the weather alerts and so forth. You can just click here to pay your taxes. And it just takes you directly there. We'll have job opportunities listed here. This button takes you right to our GIS mapping, any COVID updates that we might have. And this is definitely a new feature. Citizens can just click on that and they can review our agendas and our minutes if they have any questions or want to read something.
All right.
This is a direct link to our tourism webpage and our economic development webpage. At the bottom here, we have some spots that we can put some news and some, updated information. There's a calendar that we can keep populated. Of course, if we have something more interesting in the board meeting, we'll put it on there. So I'll show you a couple of pages. And it is still a work in progress.
How often will this be updated?
Hopefully as soon as, we have some new information.
Okay.
There's somebody from each office that's responsible for updating their own pages, where before it just kind of fell on one person for the whole county. So now Sandra can update her office. Ed's office can update his own.
Where's the couple in the convertible overlooking the lake?
The tourism page. We don't have those new pictures on ours. This is y'all's page. So if anybody's curious about the Board of Supervisors, they can go here. They can find out what you guys do. They can click here to contact any of you guys. Here's a listing of how often you guys meet, when your meetings are, if they have any questions. This is another link to the agendas in the minutes. Here's when Mr. Spain and I went to the White House. We can, interchange pictures as often as we want.
We are scheduling y'all for another picture. You were actually.
It's at our October board meeting.
So you were supposed to have had one a few months ago, and because of COVID, we couldn't do it. So now y'all get a new one.
So it's actually at 8 a.m. Prior to our October board meeting.
So you'll need to
Dress up. October. There's a list of any committees if a citizen has a question about that. The contact us here, of course, if they want to come to our meetings, they can just click here for directions. They can view it on the map. I'll show you Wayne's page.
All right.
This.
It's a great job. I'm happy.
I like the picture too.
Wayne's mailing address, physical address, the same with the map, the departments that he's in charge of.
Is that a mask?
No mask.
Another new under resources. We
Thank goodness.
put some information about the landfill, what the Mecklenburg County landfill does and responsible for. Here's our convenience center information. Their location, same. If they want to get to them, they can just view it on the map and they can get directions. Here's what you can and can't put in there. Here's what will happen if you don't.
Wonderful.
There's a link to the regional landfill if they do want to know where to take something. Same with the address, mailing addresses, what's accepted and the fees. There's a how do I. So if citizens are not sure what they need. And we will be updating this some more. Here's a link to all the towns and their web pages. And this, how can we help you? I mean, any question that you might have, you want to know how to get to our budget. Citizens can view that, something that's never been on there before.
Very good chat person that pops up at the bottom like
So we
No live chat.
I was just getting ready to say, you don't have one. Hi, this is Jenny. How may I help you?
911 has been working hard on their page.
He's full of duty on that one.
Jenny in India.
Like somewhere.
Yeah.
With some good information. And some of the offices, Ed's office chose to do some frequently asked questions. So hopefully, maybe some citizens can come there and
The stuff he was just talking about would be
Right.
perfect.
definitely put that on there.
Very good. Looks
wonderful.
good.
And we could also put that on the homepage that maybe when you do a public service announcement and
They're
then
the more informative.
within your page as well.
So Ed can go in and update his information.
Can.
Each department said.
And you don't have to wait for somebody else to.
Right.
That's better.
Yeah.
And
And any announcements he wants to make, he can,
Right.
put them out there.
Yep. And the same with
It's much
Sanders.
easier. It was so much on one person. If you didn't get to it, they became overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sanders got some
Or
frequently
it
asked
became
questions
old.
too.
It wasn't current.
But we feel this will be a much better.
The sheriff's office has not really been a part of our old webpage, but they are joining us with this one.
Wait a minute, roll down, where's Bobby's picture?
I was gonna say, no picture.
Mr. Sheriff.
They're still working on theirs.
Y'all do mug shots up there, don't you?
So do y'all have any specific questions?
I think it looks very good.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Great.
Building inspection, that's something that we have a lot of forms for, so citizens can just come here and
And you go on there and print your own form.
download those forms, they can.
Excellent.
Definitely better.
Yes.
And the same with Roberts.
Zoning.
The zoning is like that as well.
Very good.
Very good.
Nice.
All right. Good job.
So-
Thanks, Jenny. Anybody got any questions?
No, I think it looks great.
All right.
I want to thank staff. That was totally a staff.
Well, that was very
Jenny
good.
and Alex and Gina and all the different departments. They've had people in here and Jane doing the classes, learning what to do. I sat on the first one and then I realized it was somebody else's job. I needed to delegate. And they did a great job. So I just want to give them all the credit.
Sure did.
Another good feature, I'm sorry I missed this one, if somebody wants to see one of our meetings, you should be able to click here to, there you go to our YouTube channel, which is live now. So
Very good.
if you wanted to tell somebody how to watch the meeting, they could go to our webpage.
Seeing what she's doing right now.
That's
Three people are watching.
outstanding.
Yes, we do.
Very good.
Very nice.
All right. Thanks, Jenny. All right, you have in your packet board the consent calendar. If there are no questions concerning that, we need a motion to adopt it as presented.
Motion to adopt consent calendar presented.
You've heard the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, I think that concludes our regular agenda items. We'll go to board member matters, and Mr. Jenny, do you feel like starting us off?
Sure, absolutely. I won't be long. Glad to see the new school is coming along like it is, as we say every month. I hope it stays on budget and on time. Looks like there's still a lot to be done between now and August of next year, but
Yeah.
they look like they know what they're doing over there. And Lynn, the 6-year plan, it never changes that
frustrating, isn't it?
we get pinned up against the wall over something we didn't do. And I feel for these people, you go in there and they pave half the road and they I don't
Rather
know.
leave it all alone, do it all at once.
And I'm not throwing off on the planning or anything, but that doesn't seem like the most appropriate plan to have.
I agree.
But anyway, it is what it is. We've been dealing with it for 20-some years like that ever since I've been here. And just try to get people to understand what the issues are, what the problems are. Ed, I can't thank you enough for educating everybody on what's getting ready to happen with these vehicles and that kind of thing. It's just everything's kind of upside down now ever since COVID started. You thought things were going in one direction, they go in the opposite direction. And you just have to react to what the knowledge you have at that particular time. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hargrove?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Teller, I'm just hurt. My wife and I, because the closest thing we have to drivable is 15 years old. And the oldest is 25. And our taxes is going But it is what it is. And that's the world that we live in. And also, I'm the school, I'm excited about that upon its completion. And also this new website. This is rather interesting. When I get ready to pay my taxes, I don't have to be searching everywhere and figure, is this the right way? Is that the wrong way? Now it has been simplified. And so I want to say thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I pretty much the same thing my counterparts have said. The website is definitely very impressive, and more useful than it's ever been, I feel like, in our history. Everything's remote. And I don't see that, I don't know if that's gonna change that much after COVID. Hopefully COVID ends one day. But people are learning new ways to be productive remotely. I don't know how productive, but that is the new way. And I think we should stay on the front end of that with that technology, and the website is a good example of that. And thanks to the staff for getting that done. It looks very good. And, again, Mr. Taylor, with the tax increase, I don't know what it would cost to advertise this, but I don't think any corner should be cut to get the word out sooner than later. I know y'all on top of it, but it's really gonna hit home for a lot of people, and when you get to mess with money, we all know what it is. So, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Jones.
Well, kind of dittoed everything that everybody said so far, and of course, as far as the schools go, I'm glad that I'm not standing out on Highway 58 trying to get into elementary school over at Clarksville, which I was the other day. And Ricky was not very happy. And the next day, it just cleared off. I don't know what happened between day one and day two, but it fell right back in place. I had any trouble since, and that's just a blessing right there. Because at that first day, I was saying, I hope this is not the way of things to come because of COVID. Everybody wants to drive the kids to school, don't want them to ride on a school bus maybe. And Ricky said, we're paying taxes. Those kids need to be on school buses. So anyway, that was nice to see that mess clear up. And this website just looks great. I just can't compliment the staff enough on that. And that's about it.
Thank you, sir. We'll jump over to Mr. Franklin.
Well, I agree with everything everybody said, and again, Ed, the information he gave was very informational to us to, kind of understand that a little bit better. Like I say, I can hear them now. Our citizens out there, well, you didn't get us one way, you get us another. That comes and all. Just a concern, on the zoning committee, and I see we got a package today, and we got another 2232 of a large scale solar farm in my district, which could potentially be the fourth one. Sometimes I wish our board could make something a little clearer where we want to stand on these solar farms. I know Russell has said a lot of times, we'll just vote them down. Well, the solar people being courtesy to them, they are doing a lot of work surveying and everything before they ever get to this point here. But, the people that in my district, and I would feel like in a lot of y'all's district, we got it's 3 in the county and all of them's in my district, and we got another one coming. I know potentially a couple more coming down the road here, but I wish we could just stop these things in the tracks if we could. I tell you that you just don't want them all in your district and everything, I don't think at all. And with the tax increase coming up on your vehicles and all, Mr. Hargrove, I was just thinking, and you potentially could sell your vehicle for as much as you gave for it. So, look, don't let nothing happen to that old horse you got, all right? We might need it.
I had it for sale. I think I'd take it off the market.
They'll tax that too.
That's all. All right, thank you. Ms. Lundy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to give congratulations again to the baseball teams and their coaches. Job well done. And I'm glad that Mr. Taylor explained about the increase in personal property tax assessment because many people have been coming to me asking me, and I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I had not heard about it. From this board, catching it on the radio and television. The new website, I give a lot of credit to Jeannie and her staff. Job well done also. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tam?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, Jenny, great job on the website. Please tell everybody else that worked on it. It looks wonderful. Mr. Taylor, thank you for getting us out in front of all of this because I know it's going to be a headache for you. But like as we said, it is what it is. And as far as the baseball teams and all that competed, congratulations to all of those. And it's exciting to hear about the broadband too. Hopefully, that's definitely one of the things everybody in the county needs. And I've had heard people say is the new rural electrification. It's what everybody needs in order to be productive, from the kids to the businesses to everyone. And also, just a few days ago, we all remembered the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So I definitely want to say thank you to our veterans and those that are currently serving, and to all our local first responders, police, fire, EMS, dispatchers. These are the ones that protect and serve us every day. So we definitely want to say thank you to them. And that's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Spain?
Thank you. The first time that all the board members have said what I want to say. Thank y'all, sir. No need to repeat it. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Well, and I'll ditto you. I don't have, everybody's covered everything very well, so thank you all and you know, for your comments. And so at this time, board, we do need to go into closed session for property, personnel, and legal matters. So we need a motion to go into closed session.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to go into closed session. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Go ahead.
Open session, all in favor say aye. Aye. We're back into open session. We need a motion to certify closed session.
Motion we certify the chair.
A motion to certify closed session, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, Property Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the contract with Baxter Bailey and Associates for the addition to this building.
Okay, you've heard that motion. Any discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. We're adjourned.